Hey everybody, this is Jason Creel and you're watching The Lawn Care Life. Today I'm going to show you 3 tough weeds, or we're going to talk about 3 tough weeds. I'm making only show you 2 of them that are difficult to control in the cool season weather. You're talking about the wild onions, wild garlic, and then I'm going to show you Star of Bethlehem. They're ones that I deal with. These are difficult weeds to control because they have that bulb underground. Sometimes you can pull them up, you know, but sometimes that can be difficult as well. So let me show you the weeds. I'm going to talk to you about them, talk to you about some options to control them in your lawn. Let's get started right now. Okay, so a lot of times when you see a Bermuda yard or zoysia, you know, warm season grasses, and they go dormant when the weather gets cold, and this is what they'll start looking like. Just basically brown. I know this may be an eyesore to some of you cool season people whose yard stays green year round when it's not buried under the snow. I guess even then it's green, you just can't see it. But this is, you know, basically what it looks like. And you'll think, well, there's almost no weeds in here, except some yards, and some yards are just covered in it. We'll have the wild onions and the wild garlic. So here's what I'm talking about. And the way to tell them apart, and I believe I'm getting this right, the wild garlic, which is what I see more of, is hollow. And I don't know if you can tell that's hollow. I hope I'm getting that correct. Y'all correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but it's got a hollow, you know, hollow stem to it. Of course, you can smell it, and garlic and onions both have a very strong smell. But this is what it looks like. And here's one that's been pulled up, and you can see they have that bulb, and they storing up all that energy. So as far as controlling them, you know, and a lot of times, let me say this first about as far as the wild onions, wild garlic, typically it seems like when I see the wild onions, it's fewer stems coming up and a little bit larger. And like I said, when you break it off, it's going to be solid on the inside, where the garlic seems to have more stems coming up and a little bit smaller. That's just me observing. That may not always be the case. But as far as controlling them, well, you got a few options. One, after it rains, I mean, sometimes you can reach down and pull them up. Let's see if I can pull this up without breaking it. No, I can't. So that's the problem. They break off a lot of times. Sometimes you can pull them up when the ground's real soft. Let me show you the other one is I see a lot that's kind of similar to these, and it's the Star of Bethlehem. And you're gonna look at it and you're gonna think, well, it looks almost the same, but this is Star of Bethlehem. Let me see if I can find one that actually has a flower on it. See, they have a little pale yellow or white flower. I see one over here that looks like it was starting to bloom. So see there, so that's the Star of Bethlehem. They are virtually impossible to pull up. I mean, you can obviously dig them up, but they typically break off. You can see, even I tried to pull that one up, but even then I didn't pull it up, it broke off. And that seems to be the case with those. So these plants that have the bulbs, like I said, they're difficult to control. But here's the products that I use, and I've talked about this on other videos, but I want to have a dedicated video for this in case you're, you know, looking for this in particular. But for the onions and the garlic, I use a product called Blindside. Is my main thing if I'm just out there spot treating. So here's Blindside. You know, it's got metsulfuron in it, and that's what ultimately I believe controls the wild onions and wild garlic. Now you can just apply metsulfuron, and sometimes if I've got a lawn that's got a lot of onions and garlic in it, what I'll do, and I'm going to be spraying my pre-emergent early in the year, I'll just add some metsulfuron to the mix, maybe a 1/4 ounce per acre. And the thing about when you do that, you almost see no visible results from adding it to the mix. As far as the onions go, it'll help control other weeds or the garlic. But what happens is typically you'll see less and less onions come back the next year, or garlic. So the Blindside has sulfitrazone in there with the metsulfuron, and when I spray it, you tend to get some visible results from it. So you'll start seeing the plant start to wilt and maybe turn yellow. I think both options are good for controlling the weeds, and I've seen, like I said, you're probably not gonna notice it much until the following year, and you're gonna notice that you have far less onions and garlic in your lawn. Now, you would think with a very similar plant that would work as well for Star of Bethlehem, but I found that it doesn't work near as well on those plants. Let me say this, what else doesn't work well is just spraying them with Roundup or glyphosate. People think that, you know, that kills everything. Well, it really doesn't work very well on these plants for whatever reason. So I've been using a product called Katana. I use it in our warm season grasses. We spray this, and it basically kills cool season grasses out of a warm season grass. So if you got like a fescue or a ryegrass clump in your Bermuda or zoysia lawn, Katana is a great product for that. But I've found, as I've been spraying the Star of Bethlehem with it, that I'm getting a lot of discoloration and wilting of the plant. Now, will it come back the next year? I don't know that yet. I haven't, you know, I'm gonna have to wait and see on some of the yards that had a good bit of Star of Bethlehem. Will it be different next year? But I'm getting the most visible action I've seen, better than Blindside on Star Bethlehem. But when like I said, on the onions and garlic, I'm typically using Blindside, or if there's a lot, then I'll just put metsulfuron in the mix, which is a very cheap product, and use it 1/4 ounce per acre. So I'm gonna put a link to some of these products in the description if you want to check them out. Like I tell people sometimes, whenever you spray in yards, you know, like I said, in the south here, we typically are blanking our yards early in the year with a pre-emergent, a post-emergent, and a lot of the weeds are going to die from that application, but there's certain ones that will not die from that, and those are the ones that you have to learn and figure out how do I control those. And these are some of the weeds that are in that category: the onions, the garlic, and Star of Bethlehem. So there's others, and there's other products to control those. It can be a little frustrating sometimes trying to figure out the right product, so that's where you can get advice from other people and pick their brains on the subject. So appreciate you watching the video. I'm Jason Creel. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. If you have trouble with these weeds, or if you've dealt with them and controlling them, let me know what products you use. Maybe you've got another product that I'm not aware of that works well on these weeds, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments on that. So talk to you later. Bye.